Like every sport, it's the winners in football who are remembered. But for many domestic teams, just staying in a division is an achievement in itself. The impact of relegation could even go as far to threaten the very existence of a club. But is it all bad news? Or are there actually times when going down could be a good thing?
Hello there and welcome to Football Now from Doha. Relegation. It's one of the most feared words in football. If you're a fan of the sport, there's a good chance that you'll have seen your team locked in a battle at the bottom, desperately trying to stay up, or even worse, suffering the very fate that sees them move into the division below. That almost definitely means less income, less top players, and even less crowds in the stadium.
Well, being relegated is the biggest blow any club can get. It's worse than losing any final, and it hits the club in two different ways. First of all, pride. You won't be competing against the best in the country anymore. It's difficult for the institution, the organization itself. It's difficult for the fans. We've seen it happening to big clubs in Europe like Juventus, like Atletico de Madrid. And then you have the second side, the economic side, the fact that you will lose money in terms of the sponsors, you will lose money in terms of TV broadcasting rights. And all these two things will combine and make it difficult for any club, even if you're a really good club, to go back to the first division next year.
The question then on this week's show might seem a little strange, but it is one worth asking. Despite all the disappointment and heartbreak, could relegation actually be a good thing? Well, let's take a look at Burnley Football Club, a Premier League side since 2016, before suffering relegation and dropping into the Championship just last year. On the pitch, they were known for their bullish and physical style of play under the stewardship of Sean Dyche, and off it, things were pretty steady too. But all that changed when Dyche was sacked, and in came Vincent Kompany. So a year on from him being named manager, just one of the fans made the changes.
Look, we just had to get a complete reset in this football club, and for us, fortunately, it's just completely worked out. So we are enjoying it. Going to games has been so enjoyable. When we went to the games in Premier League, go to Turf Moor, go away game, you know, when you go to like Southampton for the 5th time and it's just another drab, 1-0 loss or something, or 0-0 draw, it gets boring. It gets really boring because you know exactly what every game would be. You know the lineup for every Sean Dyche team would be the exact same. So as a fan base and as a community, really reaping the rewards of our current situation and the way that we're doing things, it's given us real hope that next year in Premier League, which we will be, very much, it should be a new experience and it breathes new life into the club.
The Burnley story is one of hope and, the way things are going, success. But of course that isn't always the case. There are plenty of big European sides who have had to deal with the ramifications of relegation over the years, and plenty who have suffered the consequences.
We'll start with Juventus. The Italian giants were flying high as one of Europe's best sides, having just won their 20th Scudetto. But they were found guilty of match fixing, and as a result they were stripped of 2 Serie A titles and relegated to Serie B. Over in Germany, Schalke's fanatical supporters had to deal with the heartbreak of relegation in 2021. The Gelsenkirchen side had made the Champions League semi-final 10 years prior, but the following decade resulted in huge financial issues. Corinthians' financial crisis affected them on the field as much as off it. A last-day defeat to Gremio in 2007 saw a shocking relegation that came just 2 years after winning the league. They did, though, return 2 years later. Getting back to the top flight took Leeds United significantly longer, however. Instead of pushing on from their 2001 Champions League semi-final appearance, the English side were relegated to the Championship 3 years later. With debts spiralling out of control, a 10-point deduction followed in 2007, and they were relegated to the 3rd tier. It would take them until 2021 to get back into the Premier League.
Yes, some big names in there, but one of those not on the list is Valencia. The La Liga side have been in the top tier since 1986, but they find themselves languishing towards the bottom of the table. Now, for context, this is one of the country's most famous clubs, arguably the biggest outside of Barcelona, Atletico and Real Madrid. So, just how catastrophic could relegation prove to be for Los Che?
Well, relegation will have a huge impact in a club like Valencia. We're speaking about a big club that won titles in the past, that even played a Champions League final, and that currently is going through a difficult situation. Supporters are not happy with the performance of the team. They even facing some economic troubles, and all the supporters are not happy at all with the management, so a relegation will be amplified with all these troubles that they are going through. The impact for me will be bigger than in any other given club. So if Valencia is finally relegated, probably they will have a really turbulent summer. There will be a lot of changes in summer, and all this situation won't make easy for a club as big as Valencia to go back to top division in Spain.
So then, what about the divisions that don't have any promotion or relegation at all? Well, one of those is the Indian Super League. Up until now, being in the country's top tier required a franchise fee, but all that is set to change this season. So what could the prospect of relegation mean to the teams that have become so used to guaranteed safety?
It's huge, Sam. It's huge, right? Everybody in India almost seems to have this World Cup dream, and people like us as broadcasters who've been invested in Indian football over the last 6, 7, 8 years, we are constantly reminding them that the first step is to be competitive in Asia. I mean, India just about make it to the top 20 in terms of Asian countries. Now, if you really want to make it to a 48-team World Cup, which is what it's going to be going forward from 2026 onwards, you've really got to be in the top 6, 7 of Asia, right? And that gives you a realistic chance. Now, promotion relegation within your league, first of all, obviously promotes talent. It grows a fan base. It improves grassroots. Then this is the step that's going to lay that first brick in terms of the foundation for India to really harbor any ambitions of going that far forward.
Interesting stuff indeed. That brings us to the end of this week's show. Do let us know your thoughts at home using the hashtag FootballNowRelegation, and we'll see you next time. Bye for now.